being here.
Appreciate it. I'm happy to be here.
Well, let's start by taking a look back. What did you feel good about that happened in 2015?
You know, I think the biggest takeaway from 2015, or one of them, were the legal reforms that we took up in West Virginia. We simply brought West Virginia's legal system to the middle. We became average with the states around us. Rather than becoming an outlier, we came out of outlier status. A couple of good takeaways from that have happened fairly recently. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce recognized West Virginia on the national stage for the legal reforms that we took up in 2015, and we got the State Legislative Achievement Award. And then fast forward to December, ATRA, which is the American Tort Reform Association that has the very famous or infamous judicial hellholes list, that West Virginia has the distinction of being the only state that's been on every single year since its inception in 2002. They announced that we were coming off of that list based on the legal reforms. And then we've seen insurance companies lowering their rates because they have a little bit more of a fair and predictable legal environment. So it's a win for West Virginians, it's a win for West Virginia business, and it's certainly a win as we try and sell ourselves to businesses outside the state to want to locate here and bring those much needed jobs.
Sure, and I can't believe the legislative session is already upon us, but what do you want to see happen in 2016? You know,
we're facing the toughest financial times in West Virginia at any time in West Virginia's history right now. The governor's office just announced that the shortfall, the revenue shortfall for the current year that we're in is up to now $353 million, and that's against a $4.3 billion general revenue budget. My guess is we're halfway through the fiscal year. My guess is by the time the year's over, we'll exceed $400 million because we're in a little bit of a downward spiral. It's led by the loss of severance taxes on our coal and our natural gas. But the rest of the reality with that is when you lose those severance taxes, it means that people aren't working. And if people aren't working, they're not paying state income tax. And if they're not paying state income tax, they don't have that extra money to go out and go shopping, and they're not paying consumer sales tax. And then somebody gets laid off because business is off, and then somebody else is not paying income tax. So I think the ripple effect is what we haven't fully felt yet. So in this year's budget is tough. The one we're going to take up in just a few days now is even going to be tougher because it's more of the same. So I'm looking forward to doing the things that we have to do in order to keep West Virginia's fiscal house in order. I'm looking forward to doing that without raising taxes. There's going to be a big call to raise taxes. I don't think that we can afford it. Fewer and fewer people paying taxes, so we load up more and more on them, and then we crush the last ones. So we have to look for ways to modernize and improve state government and the services that we deliver. We're going to have to figure out how to do more with less. And then to the tax issue, we did take up tax reform over the interim session this year. Our timing was a little bit bad. I wish I'd known we were going to have a $353 million budget shortfall. I don't think we'd have been looking at tax reform. But we've identified some loophole areas that I think if we close those loopholes, that'll bring some revenue back in. But I don't see that that's not raising taxes. That's simply adjusting a tax code to what it should be.
Well, taking a closer look at some of those achievements, you touted extensive legal reform. That's not something that happens overnight. So how do you plan to see that come to fruition?
Well, we saw it come to fruition in the fact that we had probably 12 very substantive bills that we took up in 2015. But you know what? We did it by bringing everybody to the table, all sides of the issue, both sides of the aisle. And I honestly believe that at the end of the day, 1 and 1 can equal 3. I think you get a better product when you bring good minds together, and even though it's diverse and differing opinions, and we did that, and we had bipartisan support on every single one of those bills that we passed. We have some work to do on the legal reform side, a little more tightening up to do. We want to look for an intermediate appellate court, which is a guaranteed right of appeal for people that find themselves in a court system and don't like perhaps the verdict that comes out of a local court system. So we still have some work to do on that. But where we want to focus now is on the regulatory reform side. West Virginia just gained the distinction, unfortunately, of becoming the most over-regulated state in the nation. We fell from 48th to 50th. So I'm not happy about that, but it certainly indicates to me that we have some work to do there. And we're going to go to work on that. But we need to make sure that we set the stage, that we create an environment in West Virginia where businesses that are already here can thrive. And if they thrive, they'll add jobs. They'll grow, they'll expand. That's just entrepreneurship at work. And if we set that stage, then we can encourage other businesses to want to be here. Our geographic location is phenomenal beyond belief. Our natural beauty, our natural resources, our people. We have so many good things going for us. We just need to get out of our own way a little bit.
And the passing of that 5-year transportation bill, do you see that helping bring more people and put more people to work?
Well, it will. Actually, if you look at it pretty carefully, it isn't a whole lot more money than we've been getting year by year. It is an increase, but the thing that it brings is the knowledge that the funding is there and stable over that 5-year period. So if you have a big job, a big project that might take 3 years to complete, you can divide it into 3 years, a third, and know that the funding will be there. We haven't had that for many, many years as they've done these continuing resolutions in Washington and just funded 1 year at a time. So it's great news, and it will be a wonderful help to the infrastructure needs we have in West Virginia.
So what specific projects do you plan to tackle in 2016? I imagine that budget shortfall is going to take up a large amount of your time.
Well, it is, and there's a lot of work to be done on that. But I want to continue to consider legislation that will move West Virginia forward. I asked myself 2 questions. I said, is it good for West Virginia? Is it good for West Virginians? One fairly controversial bill that we're going to take up is right-to-work legislation. And, you know, what I'd really rather call it is workforce freedom legislation, because it's simply this. This isn't about a war on unions. It's simply about a worker's right to choose. This is America. It's a free country. We should I'm a business guy, and we all sort of say, well, we don't really want competition, but we know competition makes us better. And you know what? I bet this has the effect of making the unions better, for them to really have to look at the product that they offer and appeal to a worker to want to belong to the club and pay those dues. And so if they do that, then somebody has the absolute right to choose to belong to the union. And if they don't want to belong to the union, it's a free country. Let's let them have a job without having to belong. We will be the 26th state to pass right-to-work legislation. And if you look at those states that have passed it, and it's sort of the southern states, they're the ones that have had all the growth. They've had all the growth. They've put people to work. And interestingly enough, if you take a state like Indiana, not only did total employment go up, but union employment went up. One of the most recent states to pass right to work was Michigan. Perhaps the only more heavily unionized state in the nation than West Virginia historically was. Now, we're down to 8 or 10% of our workforce now it belongs to a union in West Virginia, so it's really a very small percentage. But, you know, I have to question, what are we trying to protect? We lead the nation in unemployment. We're last in workforce participation. Only 48% of our adult, able-bodied population actually works. Our median wage is like 49th in the nation. Why wouldn't we try and do something different if we wanted a different result?